Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, we are going to do part 2 of our free agency. So, just to recap here, our first part covers all of the goalie transactions and movements that we've seen in the postseason. None of the goalie transactions have happened since then, other than Corey Schneider getting signed by the New York Islanders. So, it's not like we're going to need to talk about that again. So, if you want to go and find out our opinions on that, please check part 1. We're also not going to be talking about the Jets moves because that was in our last video. So if you want to do that, please watch episode 4 of our podcast. It would be great. Rookie numbers, my boy. Rookie numbers.
Yeah.
But no, so now we're going to cover a lot of the big fish signings because a lot of them happened today. So, actually, before we do that, I will say Alexis Lafreniere officially signed his entry-level contract for $925K.
He's wearing, what, number 13? Right?
Number 13 for the New York Rangers. So he will have 3 years at $925K, which doesn't surprise me because that's pretty much all entry-level deals are. It should be good for the Rangers. Now, do you want to do Taylor Hall first?
Yeah, go with Taylor Hall
Okay,
first.
so what do you think of this?
The signing?
Yes.
Interesting, and it kind of makes it very clear that Taylor Hall is not, because apparently, who was it that offered him like $6.5 million? It was the Colorado Avalanche, I believe, offered him $6.5 million. So to me, this makes it clear that he's going more for money and less for.
I have a theory on this entire thing.
Unless he's thinking about this part. Because it's a prove-it deal. So
yes.
It's a 1 year.
So, here's my thing.
Unless he thinks that the Buffalo Sabres
I need to save this thought that I had, because I was telling my friend this earlier. Hang on here. Save image. And this is what I said on this deal. And this is what I think is happening. So, here's my thoughts. Buffalo is desperately trying to be competitive, especially with the new GM, because they just had a new GM take over. They know Hall is a guy who's got offensive skill and probably think, well, if he fits really good, then maybe he'll want to stay. And also, Eichel needs to want to be here.
Yeah.
Because Eichel is the dude,
Eichel has been...
Eichel is your gem. He's your king. You need people to serve around him. Yeah, and right now, he's a king that wants to quit the throne.
Yeah, he's starting to get a bit tired with...
He is the Prince Harry. Is it Harry that moved to Canada? Do you know what I'm talking? Yeah. It's like with someone who quit the royal family. Long story.
Oh.
Yeah. He is the Prince Harry.
Yeah.
So now here's what I think. Taylor Hall, while he says wants to be on a winning team, I think that's only partially true. I think he wants to be on a winning team where he is a star factor. Yeah. And that explains why it's 1 year. I don't think his long-term plan is in Buffalo. I think is what he wants to do kind of what Jeff Skinner ended up doing via trade, where Skinner has one really good year and then gets signed for a long-term deal. Maybe not with Buffalo, though. Maybe with a team that he actually thinks he's going to win with. Because,
and you know what it might be? Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where if Taylor Hall is looking at next season, like he wants this season to be a prove-it deal, if he's going to be on a team like Buffalo, where he's going to be playing top line, he's going to be getting more points in the sense of, if you put him on Colorado, where do you put him?
Well, here's the thing.
Do you put him first line, or no?
You either put him first line, but then you split up the trifecta of McKinnon, Landeskog, and
I wouldn't
Rantanen.
split that up, though.
And I wouldn't split that up, and here's why. That line has so much chemistry, and also, too, I feel like if you split up that line, you strand one of your two key wingers from his normal line mates, and I think you can't risk doing that. It's like splitting up Marchand, Pasternak, and Bergeron. All three players are good in their own right, but when you split them up, you run the risk of really messing up their chemistry with different players.
Yep.
It's not, and especially their output
especially
is great.
Especially when you mix up Wingerman from their center.
Yes. Well, and this is the thing.
Passing lanes, everything changes.
Buffalo, but here's the catch, though. Buffalo, in my opinion, made a little bit of an overpay. I don't think Taylor Hall is worth $8 million. I think he's worth $7.5. Now that's a close margin, but it's tough to say. But here's the thing. It becomes more of an overpay when you realize they paid him $8 million in a flat cap year. Cap isn't going up.
Yeah.
That's another reason why Taylor Hall probably signed for 1 year. Because think of it this way. if he plays, so he got like 50-something points this year in 60-something games, okay?
Yeah.
So if he overperforms that next year, then in people's minds, he can make an argument to say he's worth more than $8 million because he did better than.
Because he did, yeah.
Yes. So now you're having a guy who's overperforming at an $8 million deal, technically, because A, he's on the first line, and he's playing with Jack Eichel, who's gonna get points no matter what.
Yeah.
And Jack Eichel is living proof. He's like Connor McDavid. It doesn't matter how bad his team is, he will still get points because the skill will transition to results. The difference is that the reason their teams don't always win is because their skill can only be contributed mostly to offensive stats, not defensive stopping the puck.
Yeah.
I get a lot of cash.
The Jack Quinn that they drafted, he's not a defenseman.
No, he's a winger. He's a winger. Yeah, and they couldn't.
It's good that they drafted a forward and actually winger probably perfect.
Yeah, well, Buffalo just needs people right now. So what I'm thinking is that here's what I see for Hall. Hall is going to play first line with Eichel and Olofsson. Victor Olofsson, if any of you don't know, he was a guy who honestly could have made a case for Calder. He was a very good goal scorer. He filed for arbitration with the Buffalo Sabres. He was an extremely good goal scorer for the Sabres this year. Actually led the league in goal scoring for the first 2 weeks of the season, I believe. Yes. Because the dude was just putting up points all day long. Like, he'd score on the power play. He had like 6 goals in like 7 games. Like, he had a good start. He got injured halfway through, so it kind of took him out of the Calder conversation. Like, he was a lot like a Dominic Kubalik, who didn't get a lot of headlines because the main focus was on the 2-star defenseman.
Yeah.
But was a solid offensive player that in another year could have made a really good case. So yeah, I see this deal as being an interesting thing. It's funny, when Taylor Hall released that video though,
What video?
The video of him talking about him being excited to go to Buffalo, his mouth said yes.
I didn't
his
see this
eyes
video.
said, this is literally what the video, it doesn't matter if you see it. This is my description of the video. His mouth said, I'm excited to go to Buffalo. His eyes said, trade me at the trade deadline for a first-round pick, is what it is. And that's the good news. That's your escape plan. If this plan somehow blows up in your face, because it's a contract year, you can just trade him at the deadline and get a first-round pick. It looks bad that your team still would be in that bad condition.
That's an $8 million cap.
No, but he's a UFA at the end of the year, so it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, because you can exceed the cap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
is there a limit to how much you can exceed?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just that not many teams want to put a chance on throwing away their futures and stuff like that.
Winnipeg.
Well, no. Well, they don't give away too much because there's only so many first rounders you can give away before it becomes really idiotic. Like, you don't want to give away a first round pick that's in 5 years because you have no idea where your team will be in 5 years. I have no idea if that's light up or not.
Oh, whatever. It's all good. Yeah.
So it isn't fair to do. You run the risk of like what Ottawa did, where they got to pick which year they gave up a first round pick to Colorado, and they picked wrong, and that was the year that Colorado had 2 picks in the top 5.
And who they drafted that?
Bowen Byram and I forget the other guy. They were 2 solid guys though. Yeah. So yeah.
But I mean, especially like if you want to talk about trades that are in draft years. Well, just quickly, in draft years where you should never trade away your first round pick, the Kasper Kapanen deal with JR trading the first.
I don't want to talk about that. We've covered that already.
I know, but it's worth bringing.
We've covered that already. There's plenty more to look at.
I'm just mentioning it. I'm not saying we should talk about it for 10 minutes.
Well, okay, but there's other things to mention now.
Yeah.
So there's a couple minor signings I just want to touch on.
Yep.
Mikko Koivu got signed for 1 year at $1.5 million
by
Columbus. Columbus is making pickups. Is actually making some good pickups. Like I would say, what other ones we got here? Oh, okay. So this was one that was a couple days old. Torrey Krug signed with the St. Louis Blues for $6.5 million for 7 years. I don't know how to feel about this one.
It's okay. It's not great.
Like, how old is Tory?
Like, I
Krug
mean,
here?
I feel like it's just them trying to make up for the loss of Pietrangelo.
Well, it's funny. No, this is the thing though. He did it before they signed Pietrangelo, and Pietrangelo, which this is
Yeah,
funny.
but they knew they weren't getting
This is funny.
Pietrangelo back.
So, Tory Krug's 29,
Ooh.
so he's gonna go till he's 37. But that being said, let's be honest
Whoa,
here.
whoa, it's an 8-year deal? I thought you
7
said
years. 7 years.
So he's
I'm
36.
I'm assuming though, that he might turn 30 at some point because the next year will start on January 1st,
Oh, I see.
right?
Yeah,
So
I forgot about that.
yeah, there's a 50-50 chance, kind of speak, that he's not. It hasn't had his birthday yet, but it's still 1 year.
It really doesn't matter at that point.
The thing is that, and let's be honest, this deal isn't going to reach its. It probably won't reach its full term. A lot like the Pietrangelo deal, because deals like this don't, like, you just can't have defensemen get paid that much until they're that age. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't carry over much. Now, I will say this. It was pointed out to me, actually, Dad mentioned this, that he finds it very, like, because Krug's an interesting case, right? Krug is definitely a solid defenseman,
Yep.
but, well, here's what I think as well. He's kind of in a little bit of a limbo here. So, because the defense on Boston has been so somewhat solid,
Yeah.
he hasn't been able to excel in a first pairing role.
That's true.
However, the catch is because it has been so solid, he's played a lot with Chara. And being able to play with Chara means you got a lot of freedom to do a lot because Chara just shuts down things.
Yeah.
He keeps it shut down. So my question is now he's probably going
Is
to
he
play
gonna-
with like a
is he
guy
gonna-
like Parayko?
Is he going to be a bit too reckless?
Well, not just necessarily reckless, but I'm just wondering how much freedom is he going to feel like he has while he's playing the blue line in
Yeah, and well,
St. Louis.
especially like when you get a guy like that comfortable playing with a guy like Chara, who he's going to shut down, he's going to cover you when you go and do stuff.
Yeah, well, Chara's not
well-
coming up in the rush.
Yeah, but he's going to cover you. That's the
Mhm.
point. When you go up on the rush, Chara's got it covered.
Yeah.
Now, my question is with Krug is when he goes and tries to make some offensive moves, is he going to leave some gaps?
Yeah.
Is he gonna misjudge a few times? And that I feel like is the biggest question mark for me. With at least not necessarily talking about his contract, but more or less the way he's gonna play with Tory Krug and how he's gonna look on a St. Louis roster.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So, I guess now that's all I have to say on Krug. There's still a lot of questions I have about him, so it's not like.
Now, yeah,
There's too much to
want
say.
talk about the Vancouver.
Well, first off, let's go in order here. We got Tyson Barrie signing a 1-year deal at $3.75 million in the Edmonton Oilers. So, this guy's probably playing with Oscar Klefbom, because Oscar Klefbom, by the way, is actually a good defenseman.
Yeah.
He's actually, fun fact, the only defenseman that the Edmonton Oilers have that's worth his contract.
How much is Nurse getting paid? He's getting paid quite a bit, I
I
think.
don't know. If it's anything over 3, it's too much.
I'm pretty sure.
Darnell Nurse isn't
I
good.
think he's making over 4.
Darnell Nurse, in my opinion,
Are
is
you looking
not-
at cap
yeah.
friendly? Or? Yeah, it's 6, isn't it?
No, it's 3.2.
Oh, it's 3.2.
That
Okay.
still isn't great.
That's
For a
not
guy who
horrible.
hasn't really done anything.
Yeah. But I think this Barrie pickup is good.
Okay, it's funny. Here's the thing. I expected a lot of Tyson Barrie last year, and when he got traded to Toronto, I thought this was a good trade for Toronto. It turned out to be a loss because Nazem Kadri played up, like because Nazem Kadri is the second line center, I think, right?
For Avalanche? Yeah.
And he's playing really good.
He's playing really good.
He's really good there. Tyson Barrie was awful on the Maple Leafs. Like, and this is an offensive defenseman who probably had like 20 points at the most, which for Tyson Barrie is a down year. Tyson Barrie, before Samuel Girard or Cale Makar, Tyson Barrie was the guy on the defense core
for the Avalanche.
Yeah, like literally, him and Makar would have been a dream pairing when he was on.
Yeah.
Like, Barrie was atrocious, and I was looking at that, and I'm like everything just seemed off. Like the fit wasn't there. Like because he was playing an offensive role on a team that didn't need offense there.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be better now. Like, but it just didn't look right. So here, you want to hear the stats line?
Yeah.
So in 17-18, he had 57 points in 68 games with the Avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
In 18-19, he had 59 points in 78 games with the Avalanche. In 19-20, he had 39 points in 70 games. So there's a drop of 20 points and only 8 less games played. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like, and he was...
I will say, that doesn't sound quite as bad as you make it out to be, but it does sound...
It's bad, though, when it's a
significant
20-point gap. When it's a 20-point drop, and the dude went from scoring 14 goals in back-to-back seasons to 5.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, it's just... something was off. Like, he hasn't had that bad of a season, honestly. He hasn't had that bad of a season for a while. And it's just, like... It's funny. He'll have a bad season, then 2 good ones, then a bad one, then 2 good ones. Mm-hmm. This was a bad one for sure. But yeah, I think he'll be a decent fit on Edmonton. I see a lot of deals going, like what I said about the Taylor Hall, 1 to 2 years, because they're waiting for the cap to rise.
They're waiting for the cap to rise.
And everyone has a stupid sense of optimism. And what I mean by that is, like, they're like, oh, I can't wait to get a pay raise in 2 years. You think he'll be good in 2 years? That's nice.
And also, look how many contracts are going to expire for next year.
Mm-hmm.
There is a ridiculous.
We should move this along. There's one thing I want to talk about
before we get to the big fish.
No.
What were you going to talk about? Just touch on it.
I'm just going to say right now, the Chicago Blackhawks core group is pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about this?
Yes, I heard that
they're quite pissed.
They're pissed about
Apparently, nobody let them know that they were tanking at some point, which is funny because the Chicago Blackhawks are the best bad team in the NHL.
That's true.
You can't even say I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because look at the offensive talent they have there.
Yeah.
And also, fun fact, when Duncan Seabrook is injured, they rain when Seabrook's injured, they get 3% faster on the ice.
I thought you said Duncan Seabrook.
Oh my God.
Person.
Brent Seabrook, sorry. Duncan Keith is good. He's keeping up. Seabrook is bad.
Duncan Seabrook.
But no, they're mad because they traded away Brandon Saad to the Colorado Avalanche for Nikita Zadorov, which is an upgrade, I think, for Chicago. And I found it funny. I'm like, someone was like, how do you lose 3 trades in a row with the same player? Talking about trading for Brandon Saad, trading away Brandon Saad, then trading for Brandon Saad and trading away Artemi goddamn Panarin, and then trading back for trading Brandon Saad away again for Zadorov. Someone's like, how do you lose the same person in 3 different trades?
Jeez.
But yeah, and this is the thing. They have to. It's funny because they can't move the core because there's no movement clauses, and these no movement clauses have meaning because they're literally they're not a no trade clause. There's no movement, and they can't waive them because they're too much money.
There's that, but I will say, with the core group being as mad as they are, that could possibly
get one waived.
And then once one...
Taves wants to win there, though. Yeah, which is funny. Which, don't get me wrong, Taves, good Winnipeg boy, little bit of a hypocrite. You won 3 cups in 5 years, and you're talking about how mad you are that you're not playing to win? Come on!
I thought it was 3 and 6 years.
3 and 5. 2010, 2013, 2015.
Oh, okay, I see.
I think it's 3 and 5. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's just... I don't know. So now let's talk about... So, first off, Tyler Toffoli, we need to get it moving.
That would be in 6, though, because 2010 and then plus the other 5 years.
Okay.
So that'd be 3 and 6.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Anyway, Tyler Toffoli signs with the Montreal Canadiens. This is a good move for Bergevin. 4 years at $4.25 million.
That's fine.
That's solid. It makes me wonder how Vancouver couldn't offer that, though. What, really? You didn't have $4 million lying around for him?
Yeah. Well, they did later on make a trade for what's his name.
Okay, but that's a cap dump situation, and I understand that. So first
so
off,
they're taking on his contract.
So So first off, we're gonna say this: Nate Schmidt gets traded to the Vancouver Canucks for a 3rd-round pick. This is cap dump part 2.
Yeah. Now a lot of
because
people
Fleury wouldn't move.
Fleury wouldn't move,
and you know why?
And we now know one of the reasons being is
Leonard has to get
Leonard is getting shoulder surgery
from carrying them.
No,
but it would be funny to think of it like that.
Gotta get some of those.
They're investing
those concept artists to just have a Robin Leonard carrying the team, just for Fleury's agent to get pissed off.
I think this is a good move for Vancouver. I don't know. Some people are hating on it, but I think some people will hate on this move no matter what.
Yeah, I mean,
you only give up a third.
Vegas is trading away more players.
Well, Vegas has traded away 2/3 of their roster since they started.
They have been making so many moves.
Vegas? Okay, so
they keep a guy for a year and then throw him in the garbage.
Let's talk about this for a second. And if people are wondering, it's like, well, they've only been around for 3 years. But
that's exactly the point.
This is the thing.
That's
Vegas
exactly
doesn't have a concept of loyalty. And let me give you a perfect example. Derek Englund is a Vegas native. He was actually given an assistant captaincy for the Vegas Golden Knights. He sits in the press box for 3/4 of the games they play. Don't get me wrong, he's not a great player, but I feel like you should respectfully give a guy like that, the guy who on your first game, with that whole ceremony about Vegas, he was the dude who do you know about this?
Oh,
yes.
where he had the mic.
He was the microphone man. And you don't play him for 3/4 of the games. I personally...
That's disrespectful.
Well, it's not just disrespectful, but it's just... What's wrong with you? You played him your first season, right?
Yeah.
And now you're not now. Because what? He's not good enough? It was never about him just being good enough. It was about a leadership quality, which is why you gave him an assistancy. You can't say he doesn't have leadership. You gave him an A day 1. Like, I just personally don't like it. They give away Eric Hall in a cap dump for Mark when they end up getting
Stone.
Well, every time they get a new player, they cap dump other guys. So they threw away Eric Halla because they need to dump cap. They traded away Paul Stastny, Nate Schmidt. They put some guys on waivers. They traded away Thomas Tatar. In the trade for Pacioretty. Like, they want to get rid of Fleury, but they can't now because Leonard is out for a little bit.
Like, I mean, I don't think there's...
They are playing... You know what they're doing, though? And I have a theory about this.
It's like they're playing GM Connected. They're making a billion...
Well, you know
they're
why?
Making a billion
you know
trades.
why they're making... They know they can make these moves, though? Because they are exempt from the expansion drafts.
And there's a few reasons.
They can have as many good players as they want on their active roster.
And there were so many trades that happened with Vegas before they even came into the league, so that way so other teams could protect more players.
Yeah, that was at the beginning.
They got ahead, and then realized they really didn't need to get ahead, and now they're even more ahead because with the Seattle expansion draft, they lose nobody. That's why they're okay.
I hate that with 100%.
Oh, I hate that as well. And like, for example, this is another reason why they can keep. They theoretically, I know they want to get rid of Fleury, but they can keep Fleury and Leonard and be completely fine because Pittsburgh got screwed over when the whole Vegas thing came in because they had Murray.
Do you want the goalie that won round 1 and 2 or round 3 and 4?
And
now let's talk about, because we need to make sure we don't know when the camera will crash.
Alex Pietrangelo
has signed for 7 years,
$8.8 million. Holy crap! How old is he?
In a flat cap year.
He's in his 30s.
You signed him to 8.8 years.
Isn't how much?
For 7 years.
8.8.
Let's 8. Yeah, that's what I said.
How old is he? Is he what? Like 30? He's in his 30s, isn't he?
Oh, of course.
He's like 33, I think.
Okay, so where were we? We were talking about...
Yeah, sorry. Camera cut out again. Storage is what it is.
That's what I
That's it. Okay.
Yes, so Pietrangelo is actually 30 years old. Krug is 29.
And that's a 7-year deal for Pietrangelo?
Yeah, and for Krug, Krug got. Did he get 7? Now I'm forgetting because it's that. Yeah, he got 7, but he got paid 6.5 instead of what's it called, 8.8. Vegas is getting close to a drop-off point where all their players are stuck right now. And I'm just saying this, they're being very easy with getting guys because they know they can protect everyone because they're exempt.
They don't lose anyone.
Now, I would also just like to mention quickly that also Toronto got a defenseman, TJ Brody, $5 million for 4 years. That was a good signing.
Yeah.
Good job, Toronto.
Yeah.
You finally got a defenseman to play with Morgan Riley. So that should be better for them, honestly.
Yeah.
As well as getting Zach Bogosian. I think the
Yeah.
Leafs are actually going to be a decent team this year defensively.
I think so as well.
Don't
You
trade
know-
Frederik Andersen.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. Yeah, I don't care. Don't do it.
It's just not.
Um,
And you know what? But to be honest, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the Pietrangelo thing. Like,
no.
I mean, everybody
Other than
saw
that,
it
it's just
coming.
a bit of an overpayment, and
It's
like,
a bit. It's an.
and Vegas is trying. Like, I'll tell you this: if Vegas doesn't win a cup in this window, we can all look back and laugh because Vegas
has
like
had everything going for them.
Well, not even just that, but Vegas as like Vegas fans. And Vegas, apparently the team was last offseason, like this last postseason as well. They're pretty cocky right now.
Oh.
Like,
very.
I've
nothing new.
been looking at Vegas fans. It's like, it's cup time, baby. It's cup. We're gonna win the cup this year. And then one guy was like, and then when they traded away Schmidt, this one guy was like, I swear the NHL hates us. I swear. I'm like, you did this to yourself.
The NHL gave you a team.
They gave you a team. They gave you everything.
The NHL hates Vegas.
You didn't want to keep Schmidt.
They gave you a team, and they made you exempt from the next expansion draft.
So all in all, I will say, is that it'll be funny if Vegas doesn't win, and I don't want them to win. Their their jerseys
gold jersey?
suck.
Those are
Those aren't. That's not gold.
Now
That's a mustard packet.
Their normal ones, they're fine. They're fine.
No, their normal ones are good.
They're
Let's not beat around the bush here. The normal ones are.
I wouldn't put
clean.
them in the top of the league, but I wouldn't put them in the bottom.
They're pretty clean, honestly. Their logo's the cleanest for sure. Like
That
their
is true.
logo's so
Yeah,
clean.
and that's the main thing that I have when we'll be fine. When teams come into the league is that the NHL just has this style and a bit of a feel to it, and Seattle and Vegas both fit it. So, so
Yeah, so all in all, good. We're still waiting for a couple more free agency signings.
Mike Hoffman?
Like Mike Hoffman, Dadonov, Anthony Duclair. I think those are it mostly. Like there's not a lot of big names left. So yeah. If you like that video, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell everyone about the channel because that generates a lot of interest. And
check out the Instagram
really
too.
Appreciate it. Yes. Check the
Podcast.
Instagram. Be sure to go back and watch our other 2 videos covering free agency because that pretty much probably can fill in some of the holes that we didn't talk about here. So yeah. Thanks. We'll see you next time.